up on Twig, it's a huge week for Google. The Nexus S gets announced. Chrome OS gets announced. You could get a free Chrome OS machine, possibly. We'll tell you the details on that. Also, Gingerbread news, Google ebook store. You're going to have to watch this one. Check it out now.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. You'll find all the TWiT shows on your Roku box, Android, and BlackBerry phones, and all Yahoo Widget TVs powered by Mediafly. For more information, visit twit.tv/Mediafly.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 72, recorded December 8th, 2010, Socialized Salsa. This episode of Twig is brought to you by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off the lifetime of your new account, go to Squarespace.com and use the offer code TWIG. And by Ford and the new Ford Fiesta. With an EPA estimated 40 highway miles per gallon, no other compact car is more fuel efficient, and fuel economy is just for starters. The 2011 Ford Fiesta. Ford invites you to drive one at a dealer near you. And by the Eco-Imagination Challenge from GE. GE and its partners are awarding $200 million to ideas that help build the next generation power grid for the 21st century. For more information and to view and comment on ideas, go to ecoimagination.com/challenge. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show that covers everything Google, which means everything the internet. It's kind of a dry week for Google, but we'll try to make the best of it. Joining us, I'm filling in for Leo Laporte, by the way, who's in France. So joining us as usual, unlike me, Gina Trapani from smarterware.org. Hey, Gina.
Hello, hello. Christmas came early for Twig this week.
I know.
Very excited.
Packed with stuff. Also with us, of course, Jeff Jarvis from buzzmachine.com. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm not pink yet. I will be as the sun sets here.
Yeah. Well, you look human this week, which is good. That's a good thing.
Kind of.
And also joining us, Kevin Purdy from lifehacker.com. How's it going, Kevin?
Hello. Greetings from RIT.
I'm happy to be on Twig with you guys. Thanks for letting me join along with you. Let's start with, I don't know, where do we start? Well, let's start with the big one, right? The Chrome OS announcement from yesterday. This was long and got more interesting as it went on. They started by going over Chrome's browser, which I don't know. Do you guys agree? The biggest thing there was crankshaft being added to the V8 JavaScript engine. I didn't hear anything that was entirely new otherwise. Was I missing something?
That was about it. I mean, basically, Chrome is really fast. Chrome is getting faster. A lot of people are using Chrome. That was the summary.
Yeah, and security. They did a big security thing, which is nothing new for them either, the whole sandboxing of different things. The Google Chrome Web Store was also unveiled. That was new. It's a curated web store with apps that can work offline. You go in and you install an app in Chrome. You can access the store from other browsers, but you have to be in Chrome to take advantage of the apps. They are HTML5 apps. Payments won't be integrated until Q1 in the United States, but you can go check it out, chrome.google.com/webstore. What's the opinion across the board here? Let's hear from everyone. Do we need a web app store? Because it's a little different than an app store on a phone. Well, maybe not. Jeff, what do you think?
Sure we do. Sure, absolutely. It's the death of Microsoft. As I think they said at the presentation, Microsoft was nice enough to provide an app for the web. Listen, at some point does the web... Wired said the web was killed by apps. I don't think that's true. Is it killed by new devices? I don't really think so. But I think that the idea that I can buy anything there, my son, who's a developer up here in Rochester, was asking him last night, I think it's a new place for developers to write. It's a new place to earn some money. It's a new place to get new kinds of variety and apps for the web itself that can go far beyond what a mobile device can do. Sure, I can't wait.
What do you think, Gina?
I think that when I started to use it, I thought, well, this kind of just seems like glorified bookmarks, but what it really is about is just discoverability, right? Like Google needs to show consumers what they can do on the web. Like, yet they were asserting that you can do anything on the web that you can do in a native app, which was quite quite an assertion, I thought. I'm not sure I totally agree, but they need a place to show people, hey, if you want to listen to online radio, here's where you go. If you need to edit an image, if you need to create an org chart, if you need a web app or text editor, and all those things are in the Chrome Web Store. So while on one hand they felt like, this is a little underwhelming, on the other it was like, this makes complete sense because Chrome OS needs to have a place to install stuff and needs to be able to convince consumers that you can just work on the web. So absolutely needed, I think.
2 out of 3 agree so far. Kevin, you want to make it anonymous or unanimous?
Yeah, I really like the web store. It caught a lot of flack from a lot of snarky corners for being basically like Gina said, like, oh, I click, Gmail and then I get a link to Gmail in the browser. That doesn't seem all that great. But they've figured out a way to make offline apps really much more convenient than Google Gears was, which was the predecessor. Google Docs is going to come back with offline capability, which is great. I think it's just a really cool way to show people what's really capable in a browser, if nothing else. Maybe, not everything right now is a slam dunk, but it shows you what is possible and where it's headed.
I was one of those snarky corners you're talking about at first because no, seriously, I looked at it and I said, well, this is just a really nice portal. Like, why do I need an app store or call it an app store for something that's just a directory to sites on the internet? Because that's all these apps really are, except for the offline.
Well, but let me ask you, but Tom, at some point, don't you get the successor to Microsoft Word as an app that you'll have an account with? It's and it's your portal to that and to your little corner of the cloud with the functionality there. Isn't that what it becomes?
That. I've got Google. I type docs.google.com in. Why do I need to install an app to do that?
Anybody else's apps or anybody else's stuff. When we get to HTML and we get to fancier things, maybe I'm completely full of crap. That's happened before.
No, it's
the
Like
discoverability.
Sorry.
It's the discoverability for sure. I think just finding this. I mean, I ran a blog that Kevin's at right now. That for years, 90% of it was just like, hey, look at this cool web app. So now that the store is just an entry point for people who don't know about. Well, most people know about docs.google.com, but a lot of people don't know about Aviary or that TweetDeck. Has a web-based client or that kind of thing.
If it was just a cool directory of places to go on the web to do cool web app stuff, then I would get that. I think the installation and the idea of treating it as if they're independent applications is what I was getting hung up on until something you said, Gina, which was the idea of it being the app engine for Chrome OS. Once they started showing Chrome OS, it all made perfect sense to me.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And there are apps in the App Store right now that only work on Chrome OS netbooks. Like Google Talk, you actually can't install in the standard Chrome browser, oddly enough. So they're definitely holding some stuff back until Chrome OS really gets out there.
And that was the final part of their announcement was Chrome OS, which is essentially Chrome browser running on a thin operating system. They're touting the quick setup, the instant resume, the ability to sync with other devices. So you pick up a Chrome OS, you log into your Google account, and that is your machine. It has all your apps, all your data. Everything is stored in the cloud, and other people can do the same. They're talking about the security of that and how it's protected from somebody finding your data that way. And then I thought the killer was when they started talking about the built-in data. So they've partnered with Verizon here to give you 100 megabytes free data every month. Not a lot, but at least if you have a Chrome OS device with 3G built in, you have some data that you can get without paying anything, a la a Kindle, even though there's a cap on it, and then you pay for the rest of it.
Isn't that just a freemium model?
It is a freemium model, isn't it? Which is like, hey, you get enough to get by for free, but if you really want to make better use of it, you pay.
That really makes it the device you can take anywhere because, I mean, literally, even if you're a huge cheapskate and you don't want to pay a dime for data, you can always send that emergency email. Or if you use, services like Google Voice, you can always send that emergency text, that email that emergency document. It's really cool to have something in your backpack that can always get online, whenever. And that's part of the big appeal, I'm assuming.
Question for you guys.
For sure.
What's the requirement for being able to work offline? Does each app need to be written differently? Does your data stored differently? How is that going to work? Or can I take any app with any data and be able to use it offline?
I'm pretty sure that your app has to be written in such a way that it takes advantage of HTML5's offline storage capabilities. So all apps, just any app won't work with it. It has to be kind of HTMLified, from what I understand. I haven't actually done this myself, but that's what I understand.
Well, that makes sense because there are HTML5 sites right now that you can't just save to your desktop and use offline, but there are some you can. In fact, there's some cool apps for phones where you're essentially it's not an app. You just save it. There's a whole marketplace for those kind of apps. That's an independent app store where it's just HTML5 sites that you save as bookmarks, and they run inside of the bookmark. You don't have to actually be connected.
Right, and they take advantage of the offline storage, just storing inside the browser, storing data inside the browser.
Has everyone signed up for the Chrome OS pilot program?
Twice.
Yep.
Twice. Me too.
I signed up during the announcement. As he was talking, I was frantically going over to the website. It's google.com/Chrome Notebook, and you sign up if you're part of a business, or if you may already be signed up through they have a few partners that they're doing it with, and then there were people who signed up on the Facebook page with this QR code that get sucked in. They had no idea they were going to do this. And then if you sign up and you can apply at google.com/Chrome Notebook, what they'll do is send you a netbook called the CR48. It's a play on an isotope of chromium. It's 12-inch display, full-size keyboard, 3G dual-band Wi-Fi, 8 hours of active battery, 8 days standby, webcam. No caps lock key, though, even though it's otherwise a full keyboard, and no function keys either. But also no hard drives. It's all solid state. And you'll be able to play around if you're selected with Chrome OS in advance. I was kind of snarky during the coverage.
Why is it almost 4 pounds?
Why is it 4 pounds? That's a really good question.
I thought this would be this really light, wonderful light thing that would beat the air. That's the whole advantage of being web only, and you take all this stuff out of it, and it's 3.78 pounds, and it's big and ugly.
Unbranded, though. A lot of people really like that it's totally unbranded, almost just black tab that you carry around.
What is making it that heavy? It's got a solid state drive in it, so it's not a big old hard drive in there.
We haven't seen a price for it. Is it because it's just bigger is cheaper right now? Or I haven't seen any pricing for it. Have you?
They're not going to sell it. It's just a prototype. It's totally just a prototype. Yeah, it's not going to be for sale at all. I think it's only for the pilot program and for internal Google testing. But I didn't realize actually how heavy it was. What I thought was interesting that on the CR48 site, it said, we left out the caps lock key, the function keys, the spinning hard drive, and the lap burns. So that felt like a little bit of a jab at Apple notebooks, because we've all burned our thighs.
Sometimes I want to use the caps lock key when I want to shout.
They have I saw a report that said they have 60,000 of them to send out. So
that's a lot. That's a lot of prototypes.
That is a lot of freebies. If you're right, Gina, they're not only are they not selling them, but people who get them get to keep them. You think?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I was so hell bent on just trying to acquire one. I wasn't thinking about the sending back part.
Yeah. What are the terms of service, right?
I just clicked yes. I agree. I shouldn't have said that aloud.
Yeah, but
Samsung and Acer are following up with netbooks after this prototype goes out, right?
Right. Mid-2011 is the target date when we'll actually be able to buy them from vendors. And they say other vendors will join in after that. I'm excited about Chrome OS. And as much as I was skeptical of why I needed an app store in my browser, Chrome OS looks like a fantastic device to try out. I would be willing.
Right, that's the whole point of it. It's not for the browser. It's for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I said in my application, I would be willing to try to live in Chrome OS for a week without using any other computer and see how it went. You hear that, Google?
But would you be able to? I need Skype. I need Skype to do Twig.
Well, yeah,
Gina, you said in your blog post that you questioned their statement that anything can be built as a web app because it can't compile code, right? I mean, that it would be hard to create a code compiler or some kind of programming tool in a web app.
Yeah, I'm running Rescue Time, which is this app that kind of monitors all the applications that you use on your computer. And that my top applications are like Eclipse and the Terminal, because I'm primarily a software developer these days. And then after that, it's like Gmail, Google Calendar, it's all browser stuff. But I was like thinking like a true code IDE and like doing full-on development. It amazes me that there are thousands of Googlers who've been using this prototype full time. It's like Google engineers are using the Chrome OS book, prototype to do their work. Like what are they, it just makes me wonder, what are they developing in? How are they doing sort of like advanced engineering stuff?
Unless Google has web-based tools that they haven't shown us for their employees, but
right. But the idea of like editing code in a browser. I mean, I know you can do it. There are a few apps that you can do that with, right? There's a couple of like collaborative coding, code text editors and that kind of thing. But compilation is an issue, and just I don't know. I just never got into it myself. So. And then, there's always the like, what about Final Cut Pro or kind of heavy video editing? I know you can do that to some extent on the web, but it still feels like it would be kind of a light experience.
Well, maybe they're using the Citrix thing to do the code compilation, where they just push their code through there, because the Citrix guys came up and did a good demonstration of how you can actually have your enterprise apps through Chrome OS. Right,
that's true. Like a remote desktop kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it John Gruber who said that the iPad is like the bicycle? It's not the car that you drive, to get a long distance. It's not the walk you take around the corner to grab a cupcake or Chipotle, right. But it's your bicycle. It's the in-between tool for when you need to do a little bit more than a walk and a little less than a drive. Is that what the Chrome OS netbook is?
I think that's actually, I think that totally works. I have a netbook that I love. It's my kitchen living room computer. I, look at Epicurious while I'm cooking. I, get on Facebook while I'm watching TV. And this seems like that, and it takes a long time to boot up, and I share it with my wife, and like it sounds like Chrome OS would be perfect for that. And also a perfect travel computer, because I'd be able to get online wherever because of the data connection, built-in data.
Yeah, I was thinking travel because, I don't know, maybe it's a powered bicycle. But it's a little bit more than I use my tablet for. I use my tablet sort of around the house the way you're talking about. You use your netbook, Gina. But it's really hard to use that when you're traveling and you need to do a little more. You want to have multiple windows. Cut and paste is clunky.
Where this really goes as an architecture too. It's not just the device. It's the architecture of this, and it says that when you can be connected through any device you find. You can almost imagine a new kind of phone booth, and I can go on into the cloud from a device, from a friend's device, from whatever. And so just like the iPad, I think these are transitional devices that lead us to being connected more at a lighter way and more into the cloud.
Almost overshadowed in all of this is the fact that Chrome 8 has gone final with the PDF viewer, web store support, and some more of that sandboxing. All three operating... Yeah, go ahead, Gina.
I'm sorry, they had actually released this was the version that they were talking about at the announcement yesterday, but it came out last week, and a couple of bloggers had kind of said, hey, it looks like the web store's in this, and I kind of noticed these new features, and they hadn't made a big deal about it. So it was funny, yesterday I think John Gruber was saying, like, there's no new version of Chrome, and it's like, well, yeah, it's been out for a week.
There's no new version of Chrome, but there's still the old new version of Chrome.
Right, exactly.
And then on Monday, we discovered Google eBooks. This is what was previously referred to a lot of times as Google Editions. Google eBook Store is not going to wait for them to figure out the legal status of orphaned works. They're going to go right ahead with the traditional public domain that's not controversial and some other deals that they've struck with publishers. And we'll have the ability to read a book you buy from Google anywhere you have an internet connection. So you can read it in a browser, or they have some apps available for different platforms that you can read it in as well. And this looked to have a little bit of a trump on Kindle, because with Kindle you had to actually install Amazon, but with Google you could read it right in the brauser.
And that's their big sell.
But Kindle also doesn't it have a browser app coming up?
Yes, it is coming out. They demoed it actually during the.
They demoed it at Google during the Google announcement, which I thought was interesting.
It was interesting. Now, are we going to see a Google Books app on the Kindle? That's what I want to see.
I have the Google Books. I downloaded the first book, and unless somebody can tell me otherwise in the chat room, please, there's no way to mark the book.
Oh, you mean notes or bookmarks?
Either, anything. Just leave any fingerprint on it. It feels rushed. It's nice text. It looks good. I think it actually uses Pages, which is a beautiful thing, versus the Fakakta Kindle locations. But I can't do anything.
Yeah, it actually tells you how many pages you have left in a chapter and stuff like that, rather than you're 62% through your book.
I hate that.
It makes you crazy.
It kills footnotes. The Kindle kills footnotes because you can't have a common location. It takes away. Books were the original URI, right? The page number was the original URI. And you could find it again and somebody else could find it again, and Kindle broke that, which is stupid. So yes, page numbers is good, but I also need to be able to mark stuff and make notes and do other things, and that functionality, unless I'm crazy, I cannot find it in the Google Books app.
I haven't tried to find that either. I know the footnotes thing in Kindle, though. You just click and it takes you to the footnote, and then you click back.
No. I'm saying when you're writing and you need to make reference to a footnote,
right. Mm-hmm.
You don't have a URL. You don't have a universal resource locator, right?
You don't have that for any page in the book if you're reading a Kindle book.
Right, exactly. So that page numbers matter, and they are a common point to be able to create links and things, and Amazon broke it. Kindle brought it back. Google brought it back.
I am unable to figure out how to add notes to Alice in Wonderland. I'm trying right now. Chat room, help us.
Can you even mark words? Right? None of that. I can't find any of it.
Well, it is.
So it feels like it was a rushed app.
Yeah, maybe this is just early days beta. The sort of proud tradition of long betas. I like the idea of being able to get my apps in a browser anywhere, and Amazon says they're going to do that too. Yep. But I guess the advantage Google eBooks still has then is you can read a Google edition book on a Sony reader or on a Barnes & Noble Nook. You can't read it on a Kindle because it doesn't support the format, but it's available on a wider variety still than a Kindle.
It's weird to have to make the call as to which is, sorry, Jeff, it's weird to have to make the call. If someone's looking to buy an ebook reader now, and you usually try to buy devices like this based on the network behind it, who do you believe is going to stay in the ebook market longer, Google or Amazon?
What do you think?
See, that's a good question. I've been thinking this too. I mean, I'm pretty invested in the whole Kindle sphere, and when I think about books, I think Amazon. So I've already got a bunch of books in my Kindle app, which I can use on my Android phone, and it's a decent enough app. I've gotten used to it. I'm not sure that I would switch to Google Books just yet. I also just hate the idea that I'm going to have ebooks in different places, behind my Google account or behind my Amazon account. But I guess this is just the way it's going to be for a while.
Even if you get to on the web, you still have to choose which website you're going to and which web reader you're going to pull open.
Right. And, competition's a good thing. I'm not complaining about that. Choice is a good thing. Competition's a good thing. But as a consumer, it's like, oh, but I've got this whole library of Kindle books, and I know how that all works. So I'm not totally convinced on the Google eBooks yet.
It's more fun when you don't find something on Google eBooks, though. They have a better 404 page.
Yes, they do.
They created one called Whale Fail.
Google Books is charging sales tax in New Jersey, and Amazon digital books don't, as far as I know.
In New Jersey or Amazon digital books?
That's where I live. I live in New Jersey, so it depends on what state you're in.
Right.
But I don't believe that I pay sales tax on Amazon. Certainly, I don't pay it for physical, and I don't believe I pay it for digital. But Google Books is charging sales tax.
Well, I think eventually they're going to have to get sales tax figured out for all of these things, don't you think? I mean, the government...
It's not a question of figuring it out. It's a question of resisting it.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think the governments are going to decide either that there's going to have to be some national internet sales tax that's split up, or local governments are as more and more commerce goes on the internet. I'm not saying I want that, Jeff, but don't you think that's inevitable, that they're going to push for that?
No, I still don't think it is. Maybe in some far future, but I think that right now this is still about growth and about encouraging this. And it's an issue in many states. New York got it, but I think that it's going to affect how the internet grows, and that's an issue right now.
We have the Whale Fail page if you want to take a look at it. Never mind. We don't have it. Bert closed the page on me. There we go. So there it is. It's a play off on the Twitter meme. Instead of a fail whale, you have sort of a Melvillian whale fail. Google's having trouble finding that page. Does that mean that page that's when you're reading the book, and it just can't get to the next page? Because that's not good.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. I don't think it's that. I think it's more just like broken permalink from elsewhere.
Google's Andy Rubin also showed off a secret tablet at D-Dive into Mobile. It's a Motorola device, and it was running Gingerbread, right? Or it's going to? Android
Honeycomb.
2.3?
No, it's running the next one.
Okay, it's supposed to run Honeycomb. The Honeycomb would be the tablet.
Gina's tablet.
Yeah.
That was my tablet. Andy's got to hand it over. I'm ready.
Nice. The screenshots and the video showed a few very tablet-specific changes that it looks like they'd already made. The lock screen was slightly different. I think you tapped a point as opposed to having to do that big slide that you do with Android, and a few other things. It's really interesting you would bring that out so early.
Yeah, this seems to be a new pattern for Google, is to go and find a suitable stage and kind of secretly pull out a device that they haven't announced. Eric Schmidt did it with the Nexus S without saying what it was, and now Andy Rubin does it with the tablet a day before they have an official announcement. So they trying different strategies here?
I was thinking about how that kind of prevents, I think, the excitement of this brand new launch or something that's available right away. I really like that they show things early and that they iterate and that things have sort of a long, you have a long time to kind of think about it and digest it and for them to iterate and get feedback. But at the same time, you don't have that same, I waited online all night around the corner to get this new secret thing that I know I'm going to love and can have in my hands instantly. I don't know. It's two different strategies. I like Google's approach, but again, it kind of takes away that exciting kind of launch bang, when it actually does become available.
And we've seen that now the strategy is going to be Android on the phone and the tablet. Chrome OS is meant for the netbook, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's strange that the only Android tablets previously were very unofficial type tablets, but now they've got the Galaxy S and they've got the secret $10,000 Motorola prototype that Andy was showing off. And I don't know. I don't know that anyone would really want Chrome OS on anything but a netbook or an old laptop. I mean, I can see the other way. I can see how people might want Android on a netbook, but I don't really see Chrome OS seems like a pretty specific use. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people are saying that the Android Chrome OS divergence is this, indicative of this, split within the company and how they shouldn't be pushing these two products and they're competing platforms. But it just seems like Android's the touch operating system and Chrome OS is the computer operating system. It's the difference between iOS and OS 10. And, they're very different because, it's the Chrome OS is the operating system for the device with a real keyboard.
And the constant connection.
Yes. Well, you could argue that Android does as well. There's definitely some overlap, and some Android devices do have keyboards, physical keyboards. But I definitely want Android on my tablet. I wouldn't want Chrome OS on my tablet.
I think that I would take Chrome OS on even if there are left in the world any desktop machines. A shared machine in a library. A bigger screen, that kind of stuff. I can see the fact that it's what. Sun talked about years and years ago and wanted for years is the dumb device to the smart network, and I think I can see a lot of uses for it actually. And it's instant on and all that.
It's great for shared machines. You're right, because of the fact that they silo you. You have to log into your Google account, but is that a good thing to have to log into Google to get into your machine? That is one thing that makes me a little creepy.
It's the master plan.
If you have nothing to hide, Tom, why are you afraid?
And just like Android, there's a backdoor in that. A company could take the Chromium OS and build a Bing netbook that you log into Bing and all that, I think. And just like Android, you could technically build a phone that was entirely open source and doesn't have any Google apps on it if you wanted to.
And there is the guest account on Chrome OS. If you just, want to be tinfoil hat paranoid, you just always use the guest account. You never actually sign into anything. It's a trade-off for that.
The interesting thing about Chrome OS is that it's a sort of this new operating system, computer operating system that has been developed after the web, as we know it, right? Windows was built at a time where you're buying software in boxes off shelves. OS 10 too. So this is kind of the first post-modern web, computer operating system. It's really interesting, even though it's not the sort of hot touch mobile device craze, that's happening right now. I think that a lot of people are like, oh, whatever, computer operating system. No one uses computers anymore. It's these handheld devices. But it's still kind of interesting. I'm really excited about the security stuff and that tight cloud integration that no other OS really has.
And Android on the tablet's doing well. Samsung says they've sold 1 million Galaxy Tab units. Has anybody heard whether this is shipped or sold? I still haven't found a clarification on that. Either way, it's still impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which it is.
Yeah, shipped being that Samsung has made 1 million and shipped them out to retail, but they haven't necessarily been bought yet. Sold would mean people actually...
It's like bragging how many my Trap stores.
Yeah. But is 1 million... That's good, right?
It's good, and I'm saying I'm liking the thing. This is the second week I've had it, and I had to print, I had to type a memo on the airplane and used it. One box is the killer for this. One box is absolutely great, and it goes back to what Chrome is going to be like, right? So there's no such thing as syncing really. It's just there, and I grab it, and it's the same in both places, and that makes this thing really good. Using it as a GPS device in the car today here in Rochester, just follow the road with snow on it. I'm liking it.
All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, Squarespace. If you want an easy-to-use UI to make your blog sing the praises of anything, whether it's your tablet, your phone, or your new netbook, or whatever it is you want to shout out about, go to Squarespace and start a blog. If you're a beginner, it's fine for you. But if you're an expert saying, I don't want something for beginners, you can tweak the CSS too. They've got a ton of modules. Blog module. In fact, an import module is really good. If you're already a WordPress or blogger, movable type blogger, you can import your code over to Squarespace and try it out, see how it works, and take advantage of our free trial at squarespace.com if you want to do that. Flickr photo display, form builder, website tracking, an iPhone app. Use the promo code TWIG when you sign up at squarespace.com. No credit card needed. And if you decide to purchase it, the TWIG code will get you 10% off the life of your new account. If you've been thinking about starting a blog and you think it's going to be really popular, you want some place that can scale with your popularity, squarespace.com is the place. Check them out, squarespace.com. Use the offer code TWIG. So we briefly mentioned earlier that the Nexus S made an appearance on Eric Schmidt's lap, and now we have some more details about it. Best Buy is going to sell the Nexus S from December 16th. It'll come with Android 2.3 Gingerbread. You'll also be able to get it at bestbuy.com after December 16th as well. And this is officially now the reference design for Google, but they're changing the strategy a little bit, right, Jeff? I mean, this isn't the same as the Nexus One.
Right. I mean, they're not selling it directly. Google's out of the phone store business. Samsung reportedly didn't want to call it the Nexus 2 and be second in line, so it's the S. They have the Best Buy deal. And I think it just becomes the confidence it gives me is we'll always have a pure Android unit.
It's going to sell for $529 if you want it unlocked. Although, I don't think it works on the AT&T network for data. You'd be able to make calls on the AT&T network, but I don't think it has the right band for that.
You get edge data, not you get a slower.
Edge, right, yeah. It is $199 with a 2-year service agreement with T-Mobile. Are you salivating over it?
Except for the T-Mobile part.
Yeah, is that the part that brought you down, Kevin?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a T-Mobile customer, and I have a Nexus One, and I like it fine enough. But T-Mobile is really a good enough network. I mean, if you don't mind, if you live somewhere where you have good coverage, great. But I wonder how they're able to get such a sweetheart deal with Verizon for the netbook, and then to release their next reference device, they decided to go with T-Mobile. Unless it's just something inherent about GSM technology that makes it more apt for their phones. I don't understand it.
I think so, Kevin. For their worldwide distribution, I think that GSM is just a better move for them to get it going.
Oh, good point.
And it's got the world bands. Couldn't they have squeezed in the AT&T band as well?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Tom. It's really irritating, and it would be a slap at the iPhone. Take your SIM out of the iPhone and try something new.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The iPhone is a micro SIM, though, and this is a full SIM. Not to get too nerdy about it, but...
that's right. Yeah, okay.
That's easily remedied.
It is. Yeah. It is, technically.
Right? There's an article on Lifehacker for that.
I'm sure there is, but I'm
pretty sure. I think that's where I read about it.
Probably. I don't know. I think they're issuing the Gingerbread update for Nexus 1. I wonder how much longer this guy is going to stay around and still be relevant. I hope it does for a while, because buying an unlocked device a year ago, it would be nice to have longer than a year on a $500 plus purchase.
To take full advantage of the unlockedness of it, right?
The unlockedness, yes.
Yeah. 4-inch contour display in the Nexus S. It is built on a Galaxy S design, but it does have that curved display. 1 gigahertz application processor, like you mentioned, comes with Gingerbread. 16 gigs of internal memory and near-field communication. Gina, what do you make of this? Or is this going to be used, or is it just kind of, oh, did we lose Gina? Oh, that's why she's been so quiet. Near-field communication, Jeff. What do you make of this?
Well, now that we all should be giving up our Visa and MasterCard in support of WikiLeaks, just a joke. Well, not half a joke. Half a joke. I do think that I was thinking this week a lot about, I'm writing a chapter in my next book, Public Parts, about Blippi. And as I was thinking about that and what PUD has done there, it really becomes interesting when you realize the data that flows through your credit card and your purchases and the extra value that is inherent in that. And so going away from the credit card and being able to put everything on an account through a device like this, I think has even more power than we can yet imagine. Gee, you just bought that. Do you also want this? Here's a cheaper price. Here's the service contract. Share the price with everybody else. Here's transparent pricing for everything. Here's trending items that are just being bought in the last hour. There's all kinds of things that can happen if that data is live and if we, through our device, have a control on that data. Yes, I want to share that. No, I don't want to share that. Yes, I want to do this with it. No, I want to do that with it. And it takes away some of the control of our data from the credit card company, though they may still be doing it. But we become a conduit for it instead of the box, just the box in the store. So I think there's a lot to it.
And it can make things a whole lot more convenient if you just,
yeah.
Even if you didn't, in some cases, you might not even have to take the phone out of your pocket, right?
Right.
Gina's back with us. We were talking about the Nexus S. What do you think? Is it something you'd want to run out and get?
Sorry about that. Yes, do want.
The Nexus,
that was
yes.
my whole reaction. The Nexus, yes. Absolutely. Although I don't think it's such a huge upgrade that I'll run out and buy it when right when it gets released. But I will try and arrange some sort of flight so that I can borrow Kevin's at least for a little while to play with it.
Nice.
Should you buy it unlocked or should you buy it with the contract? That's the one question that Eileen and I, my wife, when we first heard about it that morning, we were debating. Should you just go ahead and get it with T-Mobile? Because in the United States, you're pretty much only going to make best use of it on T-Mobile anyway. Or
yeah, right.
Kevin, should I go with the unlockedness?
Yeah, I would, unless you're really into T-Mobile and you found out you had really good service. I think this has the HSPA network, the HSPA Plus that T-Mobile just installed. That's I think technically maybe one of the highest speed 4G, I'm doing air quotes, networks around. But that's actually, I think, a few dollars extra on T-Mobile's network. I might be wrong, comment chat room, but I really wouldn't. I wouldn't sign up for 2 years of T-Mobile if I could avoid it, unless they're really going to start stepping up their coverage area.
Yeah, and I just looked up the specs. It doesn't say that it has HSPA Plus.
Oh, yeah, that was a question mark for me. I thought it would, but
yeah, I think
just
because it's not. Yeah,
Oy,
Kevin,
really?
I agree. Except when I bought my Galaxy Tab, I went in and bought it unlocked, and I thought that I was going to use MiFi and just get this on, and then I realized I can't take advantage of any of the geography. And so I could do it month to month on this, but it's a crappy deal, and you get 1/5 the bandwidth. So I finally just surrendered, and I did a 2-year on this.
Okay.
And you don't mind the size of that, right? 7 inches. It's plenty for you.
Well, it's perfect because it fits in my pocket. And here's the thing I discovered: it's just the right width for thumb typing with fat thumbs. Wider, you can't do the thumb typing because it's too far away. Narrower, don't I know that it's too close and I'm clumsy. So it's a very good width actually for typing things and doing things. And it's Kindle sized, which is for reading books and stuff. It's great. Video, I haven't used it a lot yet, but it seems pretty good so far. So yeah, I'm fine with the size, and the convenience of carrying it in a pocket is huge.
And one of the other advantages of Nexus S, right, is that you get Gingerbread. We got more details about that on Monday as well. What are some of the the best things about Gingerbread in your opinion, Gina? Have you briefed up on this?
A little bit, although Kevin's gonna be the expert. I just want Android to just look prettier. Is that so wrong? Does that make me a bad nerd? I just want it to look prettier, and I think that Gingerbread does bring that. But Kevin's my Android guru. So Kevin, tell us more about Gingerbread.
The design is a little more unified across the OS. It's a lot of the menus have gone from gray and white to black background, white text. Most of the improvements are pretty small. The keyboard actually got a pretty good upgrade. The text selection is more Apple-like, or even HTC-like, where you have two cursors. Yeah, there you are. Two cursors that you would drag around to select the width of text. Previously, you'd be using the trackball or even your finger if you were very brave. Google says that they rearranged the keyboard and made the keys bigger or just bigger targets. I haven't had a chance to play with it hands-on yet. But really, it seems like most of the improvements are just corners and details and little niggling bugs here and there. Although someone suggested, and I don't know if it's true, that Google is making a push for more AMOLED screens, AMOLED, and that's why they went with the dark design, because I believe that you'd then be able to save some power from your battery, and Android notoriously does not have a great battery life. Most of them don't. And I believe with darker designs and darker menus, with certain kinds of screens, you'd actually get more battery life out of it, which is interesting if that's what they're doing.
And you can actually get the Gingerbread keyboard on the current release 2.2 right now, right? If you root it and do some sort of black magic. Yeah. It's
a little bit of hacky, but I don't think it's full scale rooting. So yeah, you can get the Gingerbread keyboard pretty quickly on your 2.2 phone.
I'm just so happy that there's no Windows pointer that shows up when you select text anymore. That always freaked me out. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. And it's totally incongruous to the rest of the system. There's no other white diagonal pointer in Android except for when you went to select text before. It seems like it was dropped in from outer space.
And it gives Jarvis an excuse to call Android Windows again, which always freaks me out too.
Or Leo.
Or Leo.
Right.
That's right.
Gingerbread ROMs are also starting to get cooked. There's some folks who are making them for the Evo 4G, the Droid Aris, and Wildfire. They're still in development stage, so unless you're really wanting to contribute to development, they say that you should hold off on them. But that's good news in many ways, right? Right, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's advanced the religion. We'll take it as soon as we can.
I would like to have a Gingerbread ROM running on my iPhone.
Yeah,
you could do that, right?
Well,
eventually,
you go back to your question. Go back to your question about Chrome on one device and Android on another. You start to wonder whether you can put these things in all kinds of different devices. Can I put the Gingerbread ROM in my car?
Ooh.
That's an interesting idea, because then you could have an in-dash a tablet, essentially, right?
Exactly. And so you get to the fabled connected refrigerator. If you had a ROM, where all could other manufacturers put it? Now, the problem with that becomes the account problem. It becomes the problem of, oh my God, I've got to have 10 phone numbers now, and that's not going to scale.
You just use Google Voice.
But in terms of connectivity, if you wanted to have mobile connectivity for your car, you have to have a connection to a cell network. But if they get past that idiocy, if we have multiple cells and one account, multiple SIMs and one account, and I can just go back and forth from device to device to device, and I carry something with me that says, Jeff's here, connect his account now. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be. That would be really
Amen.
Cool.
I want my Android-enabled refrigerator to let me know that my milk is expired when I'm at the grocery store. Can I have that, Google?
Would you hear about the folks who are trying to develop a food tube internet-like system in Croydon, England?
No.
They want to connect supermarkets, public buildings, and schools to. It's like a big pneumatic tube where you put the food in capsules, and then it's run like the internet. It's packet switched, so that your food just goes through the tubes, and then it's delivered to you because it scans the capsule and says, okay, this one goes over here. So you combine that with your refrigerator running the Android ROM. You don't even have to go to the store. The refrigerator orders the milk for you.
And what if
Love
they
it.
run another tube and you can just shoot into the supermarket yourself? Jump into the floor in your kitchen, and there you go.
Transportation problem solved.
Oh, goodness.
And you know what? The beautiful thing about that is that a Chipotle burrito will just fit in the tube.
Oh, perfect. I love it.
Well, the capsules are big. You could actually get the whole family order at Chipotle
With guac.
Oh,
with extra guac. Why do they charge?
guac.
Why do they charge for salsa there? That always bothers me. Salsa should be free. I'm for socialized salsa.
Hey, would you guys in the cabin, do me a favor, would you guys in the cabin take Leo on a field trip to Chipotle for us?
Where we'll find out where the nearest Chipotle is. Why does he? Now see, he doesn't dig the Chipotle, huh?
I don't think he's ever been.
Yeah. Okay. We'll introduce
He's not
him to
taken
the ways.
he's not joined our cult.
He still thinks they're owned by McDonald's.
Oh, he
That's
needs to.
probably the problem.
Salsa wants to be
Yeah.
free in the
Yes.
chat room. It's great.
Salsa wants to be free. It does.
That sounds like a show title to me.
I think it's Lawrence Lessig's next cause. I'm going to push for him to take that up. Free salsa culture. Yes. So we have another story here. Business Insider ranking the top flops of the year, and some Google products showed up. I've got my opinion about this.
It's a pretty good list.
I want to hear yours. Number
we
15.
read all 15 of them?
Wait, I don't know if we have time to read all 15 of them. What's your favorite, Jeff?
Well, no, not read them all. Just list them real quick.
Oh, yeah, let's list them.
Let's go real quick.
Number
15 Nexus 1, 14 Palm, 13 Hot Potato, 12 AOL Seed Platform, 11 BlackBerry Torch, 10 sorry Gina, I won't even say it. You know what?
Oh, please don't say
9
it.
Twitter's Early Bird, 8 Google TV, 7 Koala, 6 Apple iTunes Ping, 5 Crunchpad Juju.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. 4, It's You, which is the, right. 3, Google Buzz. 2, HP Slate 500. And number 1, the number 1 failure in the Business Insider list of failures in 2010 is Kin phones.
Ah, the kin.
The Kin. It is back, though. You can still buy it. It's called something. It's called, what is it again? They changed the name of it. They put it back out and then called it the Kin D or something. They're just trying to...
At least they followed up with the Windows 7 phone, right? I mean,
Well, yeah, Windows. Nobody understood. I don't think anyone at Microsoft understood why they were doing the Kin.
yeah.
It,
That's a decent list, although I call BS on Nexus One. I mean, Nexus One may have been a mainstream consumer failure, but you go to any conference where there are like serious Google nerds and they're carrying a Nexus One.
yeah, I don't think
I
the
agree with
Nexus One is the failure. I think that it's the attempt to change the way cell phones were sold is the thing they didn't succeed at. That idea that you would
Right,
just
and
go
God
online.
bless them for trying.
Yeah, I thought it was a great attempt.
Right.
Yeah.
They ran
Fair
into their
enough.
Howard Beale moment, though, where someone pulled them aside and said, you are messing with the fundamental forces of nature, and they just had to shirk away.
Yeah, even Google wasn't big enough to shoulder the carriers out of the way. Is that what you're saying, Kevin?
To try to Europeanize it, where you can just buy the phone and then buy your service and, not worry about it and not do 2-year contracts. It's just unfortunate.
Do we ever get away from that? Because that is a fundamentally anti-consumer system that has been kind of organically mutated out of the conditions that we had in the 90s when they built out the cellular networks. How do we change
people now are so used to the idea of their phone being something that they can replace every X years, and if I drop my phone, no big deal. I'll just get a new one when my credits come up. It's hard to replace. I think it's a very sticky situation.
And they went from 1-year contracts to 2-year contracts. There's even been some 3-year contracts, although I think people have drawn the line. They're like, no, I'm not going to do a 3-year contract. Not the way phones are changing hands all the time. So anyway, on this list, the other Google things were Google Wave. I'm sorry, Gina.
Yeah.
It is not dead though, right? I mean, it's still an open source project.
It'll live on as an open source Apache project, which I'm excited about. Wave in a box. Buzz was certainly a good choice here.
Yeah.
Google TV is kind of early to say, but it sounds like
But
reviews
it's been
are
pretty
good.
roundly, soundly, yeah.
Yeah, the G1 of.
Mine's back in its
Google
box.
TV.
I took my Logitech review and I put it back in the box. I was this close to returning it, when I talked to somebody who mentioned that it was going to get a firmware update that included the marketplace after the first of the year. And I decided, all right, I'm going to hold out, because Google TV might still turn it around with the right apps in a marketplace, don't you think?
Good.
May I recommend that you do a reboxing video?
I'll unbox it again and do a reboxing. That's a good idea, Jeff. I might take you up on that. That would be a good series for just sort of demonstrating. You know what? You don't want this. We're going to rebox it. I like that. All right, let's thank another sponsor for This Week in Google, Ford and the new Ford Fiesta with its EPA estimated 40 highway miles per gallon. No other compact car is more fuel efficient. Fuel economy is just the start, though. The 2011 Ford Fiesta can be driven at a dealer near you. Ford is committed to the environment. It's got the EcoBoost V6 engine. It's a 365 horsepower engine, and you can feel it when you drive the Ford Fiesta. It's got pickup and fuel efficiency at the same time. If that's what you're looking for, you get a lot of power. You essentially get the power of a V8, and it does with direct fuel injection. You can test drive a global test. There's the 2012 Ford Focus Global Test Drive now through December 31st, 2010. Submitted video saying why you should be selected for the test drive and what charity you think Ford should donate $10,000 to in your name. And they'll send you and a friend to a secret location in Europe to test drive the all-new 2012 Ford Focus. You can learn more at there's a Facebook page you can get to very easily by typing in twitfordfocus.com and upload your video by December 31st. That URL again is twitfordfocus.com, and we invite you to stop by a dealer, Ford dealer, and drive a new Taurus show, the SHO, or a Ford Fiesta this week. See what the innovations at Ford are all about. Another Android phone that was leaked out is the oft-rumored PlayStation phone. Kevin, do you have any info on this? Is this real? It looks more real every time we see a video. We finally got a clear video this week that showed someone using it rather than a blurry video from a Greek train.
I am sorry, I got nothing on this one.
You got nothing on this? Anybody else got anything on the PlayStation phone? No takers. I want the PlayStation phone. What do you think of the control system, Gina? Have you seen the little nubs that are supposed to be the joysticks?
You know, we saw this a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that's just sort of silly, but it's real. It's interesting. So it uses the thumb pad to navigate around Android, basically.
Can you play Angry Birds better on it?
Possibly. I mean, well, the idea is you've got the two little nubs, right? And so there's thumb pads just like you have on a PSP, but then the control sticks are those two little nubs in the middle, so that it's like a touch interface. But you can't really see them in the picture we're showing on the video. It's right below that S. There's those two little things, and then that tells you where the center of the control stick is, and you just move your thumbs around in order to send the control with that, so they don't have to build an actual movable stick in there, and that allows it to slide under the screen.
Interesting. So is this like the iPod Touch kind of game? You know, I don't know. I guess it's not really a direct parallel.
It's similar to the iPod Touch's little circular thing, except with that you kind of have to look or just remember where your finger is, but there's a little physical cue, so you know, like, okay, that's the center of the stick.
But for those who can't see it, it looks like from these preview shots that the whole Android system is in there: settings, places, phone, navigation. It's not some kind of rigged together Android device. It looks like it's running a full Android system with just probably a few built-in games or focus on games.
Yeah, they claim it's running Gingerbread in the story I saw on AndroidCommunity.com. Everybody's got Gingerbread but me. You don't have it either, do you, Gina?
No.
Everybody's got Gingerbread except me and Gina. Please send ROMs.
Until Gina knocks a Googler off his bike and runs away.
Right.
Exactly.
That's why those bikes are scattered all over their campus. It's people knocking them off trying to steal their Gingerbread. Twitter ran into a security issue a couple days ago now, and it was reported on Search Engine Land that it was goo.gl URLs that were the security issue, because there's no preview on that. So they were circulating on Twitter. People would click on them. They would get infected, and then it would propagate. It was a cross-site scripting attack. Is that essentially what was going on, Gina?
Yes, that is what was going on. I got the email from Google because I apparently signed up for Website Optimizer at some point about this as well, and I'm actually not totally using it, but I thought that Google handled it pretty well. They're pretty quick to explain what happened and issue the fix. I actually didn't see reports of this on Twitter itself.
I never experienced it in real life. I just read the stories about it. Jeff, did you or Kevin, either one, did you see it in real life?
No.
Nope.
I didn't. So I don't believe it happened. If I didn't see it,
that's it. It didn't happen.
Yeah, it's the quantum uncertainty of URLs. But I'll be honest, I don't see goo.gl short URLs all that often.
Yeah, me
Unless
either.
you follow Matt Cutts on Twitter.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Google Cloud Print was also part of the Chrome OS announcement that we talked about earlier. This is their attempt to get rid of drivers, right? They say actually across the board they want to get rid of drivers so that you just connect to devices directly. Oh, please, right? Jeff,
how long has it been we've gone through this stupidity? I have a new HP printer that I give up. I can't get the Wi-Fi going. I can't hook up to it. I just give up. My Galaxy Tab, I can't print to it unless it's a Samsung printer. How stupid is that? It's just a stupid printer. Why they don't do anything different? They go A, B, C.
I love Jarvis rants. Kevin, you set this up. How does this work? You actually upload your drivers to Google?
Yeah, and I tested it out. I set it up in Windows, and then I used a different Windows computer to test it out. Basically, it seems like when you set it up in Chrome, you have to be running the latest version of Chrome in Windows. I think even the dev version at this point. There it is. You have to kind of give it a little chance to check out what drivers you have on your Windows computer, and then when you plug in somewhere else and you're running Chrome and everything's synced up for you, you can then print to any of those printers that you had drivers for on your Windows computer, there on this different computer. And so I was able to print to my HP DeskJet, 3-in-1 or whatever, and worked fine. I mean, the test page worked fine. I didn't really try it much beyond that, but it looks like it's working in this very niche case for Chrome dev users on Windows to have it set up for syncing. But it's really promising.
So you don't have to be on the same network. You can do it over the internet, and your computer, obviously, that has the printer connected to it has to be on, right?
Yeah, right. And yeah, you could. That's the idea. Is you could print back to your, presumably desktop or mini computer that's hooked up to your printer. So
gotcha.
Just as soon as I start selling tiny little computers that hook up to printers and do nothing else but accept Google connections, will all be free.
Yay!
Right.
Yay.
And you don't have to install anything else. It's just Chrome that figures out that just
Chrome, and you
go
to the preferences and set it up in the under the hood section, and that's it. I mean, they must be kind of doing some kind of mini driver in the background for it, but worked fine on HP, and even worked fine on my little PDF printer that I have installed.
Cool.
Vitaly Borker, who ran the decormyeyes.com site, you guys talked about this, I know, last week, right, on Twig, is under arrest for the fraud charges. So Jeffy not only didn't get his site really as far up in SEO as he claims, but now he's in jail.
Yeah, and, the guy was an idiot talking to the Times, and he was an idiot for screwing people around. And he was an idiot for claiming what he did, and now the government's going to go after him with a heavy hand. I think he's just a schmuck. But he'll never sell another pair of eyeglasses in this country again, I'll bet you.
Not to me.
The wheels of justice.
Counterfeit knockoff eyeglasses, too.
Right. Well, it just goes to show that insulting your audience doesn't pay after all. We can all rest assured, finally. Just didn't make any sense, that whole thing. All right, let's finish up with WikiLeaks. 4chan is rushing to WikiLeaks' defense, forcing the Swiss banking site that was holding their money offline. They froze the account because they said he had given an incorrect address. Also, now there are denial of service attacks against MasterCard. And there was one set up supposed to be against Visa, because Visa and MasterCard are going to throw this stuff off. Is there a way to get money to WikiLeaks if you wanted to? I mean, are they cut off entirely now?
I believe there is in the site. People have sent me a couple tweets on it. I haven't seen it lately. Interestingly, WikiLeaks leaked today a document that says that the U.S. government did favors for both Visa and MasterCard in Russia. Connection? We also have
to kind of to ease the way into Russia so that they could set up business there. Yeah.
At Low Web, the head of PayPal said that they did in fact get pressure from the government, and this got boos in the crowd. It's all very, very uncomfortable, but there is one good punchline out of it. I can't see who gets credit for this. I think PickIHH on Twitter gets credit for this line, that press freedom is priceless. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
I should correct myself. 4chan not rushing to WikiLeaks' defense, but Anonymous, which is a group that organizes on 4chan quite often, rushing to WikiLeaks' defense. Subtle but important difference.
For anyone in New York, this is a last-minute thing I want to plug. On December 11th, which is Saturday in the morning, Personal Democracy Forum is going to hold a teach-in about WikiLeaks, starting at, I think, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., with folks like Ariana Huffington, Dave Weiner, me, and I think it'll be a really good bunch. And I think it's time that we have a different discussion going on. We have Newt Gingrich, who just, according to Alan Rusbridger, the editor of The Guardian, I just saw this pass by, has called Assange, quote, an active enemy combatant. This is an act of war. The rhetoric out of government is becoming frightening about free speech. As Matthew Ingram wrote at GigaOM this week, WikiLeaks is acting as a member of the press. And if it loses its rights, so does the rest of the press. And this is a dangerous and important moment. Whatever you think of Assange, whatever you think of WikiLeaks, it's still, they do what the New York Times does. And if you stop WikiLeaks from doing it, you may well stop the New York Times from doing it in the future. And it's important.
It is interesting that all of the anger is being directed against WikiLeaks itself, when much of the same information is being printed in news organizations around the world, in Der Spiegel, in The Guardian, in the New York Times, and yet they don't seem to think that those publications are as threatening. They're going right after the source.
Well, Joe Lieberman did come out this week and start talking about trying to try the New York Times under espionage as well.
Well, okay, there you go. Do you agree with John Battelle? He wrote an interesting article on BattellMedia.com saying with all of the different mirrors of WikiLeaks that are going on, which just shows the ridiculousness of trying to stop information once it's out on the web. It's an infinitely copyable medium, and once something gets out, it's out. There's no way of stopping it. Battelle says, shouldn't Google mirror WikiLeaks as part of its mission to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible?
Very good question.
I think so, but
Very good piece.
It would get them PR problems. What do you think, Gina?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was an excellent question. A very, very good piece. It would be a huge PR issue for them, but a very good pointed question. If that is the Google's mission, then isn't this something they should do? Excellent question. So glad that he asked it. I would love to know.
Dave Weiner also wrote a really good piece talking about BitTorrent as the real architecture of this kind of distributed freedom.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because that was WikiLeaks' safety valve through all of this, was to have an encrypted file on BitTorrent in case they got taken down entirely, and that's still being traded around. All right, let's thank our last sponsor for This Week in Google. This is, of course, GE and the GE Ecomagination Challenge. It's a new program from GE for entrepreneurs. They're trying to give $200 million. In fact, they're giving $200 million to invest in great ideas for improving the way energy is produced, transferred, and consumed here in the United States and abroad. 3 categories. First is renewables. GE wants to encourage better ways to integrate renewable energy into the power grid. Grid efficiency is the second category. They want to convert the smart grid to digital energy, improve transparency, reduce waste, give more choices for consumers. And the third investment category is eco-homes, where you live, and buildings where you work. Energy consumption is growing so quickly it's creating an imbalance between demand and supply, and the mismatch is leading to higher energy costs for businesses and for you, the consumer. GE wants to help change how and when we use energy to lower energy costs. So they're making $200 million available to invest in great ideas in each of these areas: renewable, grid efficiency, and eco-homes. If you'd like to learn more and read the ideas they're investing in And you can even comment on them. They want to hear your comments. Go to ecomagination.com/challenge. We thank GE for supporting This Week in Google as well as Green Tech Today. Be sure to listen or watch Green Tech Today in iTunes or at twit.tv. All right, let's finish up with some tips. Kevin, did you have a tip or
I have a very quick plug and a very quick tip.
Excellent.
And the plug is for my book, The Complete Android Guide. Because for all you Twig listeners who out there who are maybe have someone who is getting an Android phone and they've asked you too many questions already about it, or you yourself have one, you want to explore a little bit more of it. My book, which you can find at completeandroidguide.com. If you type in the code during Google checkout, Twig 2010, TWIG 2010. The book's half off, so normally it's $9. It'll be $4.50. And if you're wondering about all this gingerbread news, well, okay, so what? Then this new version comes out and your book's irrelevant. As soon as I get my Nexus S at home, I'm going to upgrade the book and get a new edition out as soon as possible. And anyone who buys the ebook can upgrade to the next, gingerbread version of the book for 99 cents. So
you have a better upgrade plan than some phones.
Oh yeah. Many of my friends have already put it out, but especially those with AT&T phones. But yeah, so Twig 2010 if you buy it through completeandroidguide.com. And my really quick tip for iPhone users who want to use Google Voice to make voice over IP calls for free. In other words, use the same kind of calling that you would do through Gmail for free. There's an app called Talkatone, all one word, Talk A-T-O-N. And it is a very cool app. I reviewed it on Lifehacker. You just double tap the contacts tab at the top of the app, and you can just hit Google Voice VoIP call, and it just kind of works, which is kind of amazing. You can call your friends for free, call landline numbers for free through your phone's data connection, 3G and Wi-Fi.
Oh, really? So over the 3G as well? That's great. And it's just audio.
I believe so. It's just audio, but it's the same kind of free Google Voice calling you get through Gmail. So, with this type of thing, I usually say get it while it lasts.
Gina, I know you've got a tip that might actually help Steve Martin.
Yes, that's what it looks like. They added something really, really helpful to Google Calendar this week. The ability to set your time zone when you create an event, which really isn't a big deal until you fly across country, and then it's a huge deal. I have actually missed appointments because when I entered them in my calendar, had them in the wrong time zone. When you create a new event in Google Calendar now, there's next to the date and time, there's a time zone dropdown. So you can even set kind of a time zone, a separate one for a start and end of the event. So if you take off on a flight in San Diego and land in New York, you can put in those times, based on the time zone. So hopefully Leo got to use this before he went to France this week.
Yeah, I
to
hope
schedule
so.
his events.
He was on time this morning when we streamed his talk, so he showed up on time.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool, good to know. I didn't realize you guys streamed it. Will that be available at TWiT specials?
That's a good question. Are we putting that out as a TWiT special? Yeah, it's already out. That's already out.
Look at that! GTD, the TWiT Cottage, right on.
What's the tweet of what Leo talked about?
I didn't see it. What's the?
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
It was a roundtable discussion. I know he had Loic on and Dennis Crowley and another guest. So it was what he does here, except there and on a stage in front of French people.
Without us.
Yeah, what's that about?
We get left at home. But with you, Tom, it's a pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
You guys are being very helpful. I know I'm half brain dead slogging through Leo's schedule. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
We don't either.
Oh, and the reason I wanted to explain, the reason we thought this might help Steve Martin is he called into Leo's Tech Guy a couple weeks ago, and his question was about calendaring and being able to put in things in the time zone where he is and not have them get all messed up when he moves from time zone to time zone. So great tip, Gina. Thank you. Jeff,
Sure.
do you have a number for us?
Well, yeah, you almost got to it before. Thank goodness you didn't. The number is 1,241, which I checked about an hour ago was the number of mirrors put up for WikiLeaks, which is pretty incredible. They made it pretty easy on the site. Just do this, this, and this. Give us access, and you got a mirror. And now there's 1,241, which says that you can whack this mole as much as you want. You're never going to get them. Caddyshack.
Yeah, no matter what you think of WikiLeaks, the idea that you could shut down WikiLeaks is naive. There was another interview with the BBC, and I can't remember which government official from the U.S. was saying, we ask WikiLeaks to return the transcripts and the documents. I'm like, really?
Welcome to the internet, folks.
Okay, we'll print them out and send them to you. But
Well, that's the absurdity of the White House. The White House decreed that federal employees should not read the cables, even though they're up online, and you can read stories about it, but you can't read the cables because they're still classified.
right.
Hello?
We had a listener write into Tech News Today explaining that once you read a classified document on a machine, that machine becomes classified and then can't be used for anything non-classified in certain government institutions. And since these documents are still considered classified, even though they've been leaked, it's just a bureaucratic nightmare. It's an IT problem.
They just got to switch to Chrome.
and do incognito mode. All right, I have a tool. I don't know. You guys may have talked about this before. Have you talked about Boomerang for Gmail?
We have not.
This is from a site called Baydin.com, Baydin.com. They do a few different Gmail plugins. This one is I use it as a Firefox add-on, but I think they have a Chrome add-on as well. It allows you to set a time to send or receive an email, which the sending part makes sense, right? You're like, oh, I don't want this to go out till tomorrow morning. So that's cool. But receiving it, if you, like me, and I know Merlin Man would shiver maybe, use your inbox as sort of a to-do list sometimes. What this lets you do is say, you know what, I want to get to that one later. You boomerang it, and it leaves your inbox and comes back at a time that you set. So you're like, you know what, I can't deal with this now. Send it back to me tomorrow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I tried it out with an invite code. It's not public yet, but they were really quick to get back. You can either sign up at the website for an invite code, or if you follow them on Twitter and then DM them, or I'm sorry, if you tweet that you want an invitation, they'll actually DM you an invitation code, and they did that really quickly.
You know, the genius of that, too, is that you could tell somebody you didn't get their email and say, look at my inbox. I didn't get it. And then, later that night say, oh, geez, Google servers.
Or, yeah,
man.
You could set it to send you particular emails when you know someone's going to be sitting there. And then, oh, I just got this email. I have to go.
Yes, it's like having the friend call you during the date escape.
Yeah. Oh, I just got an emergency email.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. This has been really fun for me. I hope I've done an adequate job filling in to the big shoes.
You're awesome, Tom.
Jeff Jarvis, buzzmachine.com. And what are the other plugs? What are the other things?
What would Google do? That's sufficient.
What would Google do? In
the Google ebook store.
Check it out now.
Oh, yes. Oh, is it? Oh,
it is.
Gina Trapani, you know, I'm suddenly and embarrassingly blanking on ThinkUp.
Smartaware.org, right? And I developed ThinkUp, thinkupapp.com.
I've been using ThinkUp. I actually need to upgrade it to the latest release, but I love it.
Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Right on.
I installed it on subbrilliant.com, and I use it to analyze my Twitter stuff. So I will send you feedback about it once I've kept up and I have the latest version, because I know right now I'd probably send you a bunch of stuff that you'd be like, fixed. Hopefully. Yeah, we love feedback, so absolutely. Cool. So glad to hear that. Check out smarterware.org. And Kevin Purdy, thank you so much. And go ahead and tell people about that book again, because I think that's a really good resource for anybody interested in Android.
Cool, thank you. So CompleteAndroidGuide.com, and it's an ebook, 280 plus pages of Android how-to and detail, and how to get more out of your phone. If you buy it now, the ebook, it is half off, 50% off, about $4.50, and the offer code is TWIG2010, TWIG2010.
And of course, you can find Kevin's work on lifehacker.com as well. That's it for This Week in Google. I'm Tom Merritt. Lee will be back next week. You can find us at twit.tv/twig. We'll see you then.